Hosea chapter 6, Prayer of Teshuvah. Come, let us return to Adonai, for he is torn, but he will heal us. He is smitten, but he will bind us up. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, he will raise us up, and we will live in his presence. So let us strive to know Adonai. Like dawn, his going forth is certain. He will come to us like the rain, like the latter rain watering the earth. Covenant loyalty more than sacrifice. O Ephraim, what shall I do for you? O Judah, what will I do for you? For your loyalty is like a morning cloud, or like dew rising early, vanishing. Therefore I cut them down by the prophets. I slew them by the words of my mouth. Now the judgments pronounced against you, light will go forth. For I delight in loyalty and not sacrifice, knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. But like Adam, they transgressed the covenant. There they dealt treacherously with me. Gilead is a city of evildoers, tracked with bloody footprints, like marauding bands waiting for a man. So a company of priests murderers on the way toward Shechem, for they have committed crime. In the house of Israel I have seen a horrible thing. Ephraim's prostitution is there. Israel has become unclean. Also Judah, there is a harvest for you when I return my people from captivity. Hosea chapter 7. Iniquity of senseless Ephraim. When I would have healed Israel, the iniquity of Ephraim was uncovered, even the wickedness of Samaria, for they practice fraud. So a thief breaks in, a marauding band will raid outside, but they will never admit in their heart that I remember all their evil. Now their deeds are bound around them, they are right before my face. They gladden the king with their evil, and the princes with their lies. All of them are practicing adultery as an oven heated by a baker who stops stirring or kneading dough when it is leavened. On this day of our king, princes become sick from wine. His hand drags scorners along, for their hearts are like an oven as they wait in ambush. All night their anger smolders, in the morning it burns like a blazing fire. All of them are hot like an oven, and they devour their rulers. All of their kings have fallen, none among them calls on me. Ephraim mixes himself with the peoples. Ephraim has become a pancake that never gets turned over. Strangers devoured his strength, that he does not know it. Gray hairs have spread on him, and he does not know it. But the pride of Israel has answered him to his face. Yet they did not return to Adonai their God, nor seek him about all this. Ephraim is like a senseless, silly dove. They call to Egypt. They go to Assyria. As they are going, I will spread out my net over them. I will bring them down like a bird from the sky. I will chasten them as in their report. When it comes to their assembly, oi to them, for they strayed from me. Devastation to them, for they rebelled against me. Should I redeem them after they spoke lies about me? Nor did they cry to me in their heart when they were wailing on their beds. For the sake of grain and new wine, they slash themselves. They keep turning away from me. I train and strengthen their arms. Yet they kept planning evil against me. They will turn back, only not upwards. They are like a treacherous bow. Their princes will fall by the sword because of the insolence with their tongues. This will be for their ridicule in the land of Egypt. Hosea chapter 8. Idols thrown down. Put a shofar to your mouth, like a vulture he comes against the house of Adonai, for they overstep my covenant and transgress my Torah. Will they cry out to me, my God, we, Israel, knew you? Israel has rejected goodness, an adversary will pursue him. They crowned kings, but not by me. They appointed princes I did not approve. Their silver and gold they made into idols, just so they would be cut down. Samaria, your calf is thrown down. My anger is kindled against them. How long will they be incapable of innocence? For craftsmen from Israel made it, so it is not, no God. For the calf of Samaria will be splinters. For they sow wind and they reap a whirlwind. There is no mature grain, the sprout yields no meal. Should it produce anything? Strangers would swallow it up. Israel has been swallowed up. Now they are among the nations, like an ornament with no delight in it. For they have gone up to Assyria, like a wild donkey alone by itself. Ephraim has hired lovers. Although they hire among the nations, I will now round them up. So they will begin to decrease under the burden of the kings and princes. When Ephraim multiplied altars for making sin offerings, they became his altars for sinning. Though I were to write out for him 10,000 things from my Torah, they regard it as something strange. Sacrifices are gifts for me. Should they sacrifice meat and then eat it? Adonai will not accept them. Now he will remember their iniquity and punish their sin. They will return to Egypt. For Israel has forgotten his maker and builds temples, while Judah has multiplied fortified cities. So I will send fire upon its cities, that I will consume their citadels. Hosea chapter 9. Days of desolation are coming. Do not rejoice, O Israel. Do not celebrate like the peoples, for so you have gone whoring away from your God. You have loved a prostitute's pay on every grain threshing floor and winepress will not sustain them, and new wine will fill her. They will not dwell in Adonai's land. Instead, Ephraim will return to Egypt and eat unclean food in Assyria. They will pour no wine offerings to Adonai. They would not be pleasing to him. Their sacrifices will be like the bread of mourners for them. All that eat it will be defiled. For their bread is for their appetite, not coming to the house of Adonai. But what will you do for Moed, or for the day of Adonai's feast? Look, even if they escape desolation, Egypt will gather them up. Memphis will bury them in their precious silver treasures. Weeds will possess them. Thorns will be in their tents. The days of punishment have come. The days of retribution have come. Let Israel know the prophet is a fool, for the man of the spirit is mad. For great is your iniquity and great the hostility. Ephraim is a watchman with my God. A prophet, a bird's catcher's trap in all its paths. Hostility is in the house of his God. They all have deeply corrupted themselves in the days of Gibeah. He will remember their iniquity. He will punish their sin. Like grapes in the wilderness, I found Israel. Like early fruit on a fig tree. In its first season, I saw your fathers. They came to Baal pure and devoted themselves to shame. So they became as detestable as the thing they loved. Ephraim's glory flies away like a bird. No birth, no pregnancy, no conception. For if they should raise their children, I would make them childless to the last man. Yes, woe to them when I depart from them. Ephraim, as I have seen, is like Tyre, planted in a meadow, but Ephraim will bring his children out into the slayer. Give them Adonai, what will you give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dried up breasts. All their wickedness is at Gilgal. For there I despise them because of their wicked practices that will drive them out of my house. I will love them no more. All their princes are rebellious. Ephraim is blighted, their root is withered, they bear no fruit. Even if they bring forth children, I will slay the cherished ones in their womb. My God will cast them off, since they did not listen to him, so they will become wanderers among the nations. Hosea 10, Israel to be shamed in captivity. A luxuriant vine in Israel, who produces fruit for himself like the abundance of his fruit. He has multiplied his altars like the goodness of his land. They made beautiful sacred pillars. Their heart became smooth. They will bear their guilt. He will break down their altars. He will destroy their sacred pillars. Surely now they will say, we have no king, for we have not feared Adonai. The king, what can he do for us? They spoke words, empty oaths to make a covenant. The judgment springs up as a hemlock in the furrows of the field. The inhabitants of Samaria will quarrel over the calves of Beth Aven. Indeed, its people will mourn over it, but its priests will tremble over it, for its glory will surely depart from it. It will also be carried to Assyria as tribute to a warring king. Ephraim will receive shame, and Israel will be put to shame by its own counsel. Samaria is being cut off, her king is like a splinter on the surface of the water. The high places of Aven, the sin of Israel, will be destroyed. Thorns and thistles will come up on their altars, and they will say to the mountains, cover us, and to the hills, fall on us. From the days of Gibeah you have sinned, O Israel. There they took their stand. Will not war over the sons of iniquity overtake them in Gibeah? When I desire, I will chasten them, and people will gather against them when they are yoked to their two sins. Though Ephraim is a trained heifer that loves to thresh, I put a yoke over her fair neck. I will make Ephraim's pole. Judah will plow. Jacob will drag a harrow by himself. Plow up your ground. Sow for yourselves righteousness. Reap in accord with the covenant love. Break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek Adonai until he comes and showers righteousness on you. You have plowed up wickedness and have reaped iniquity. You have eaten the fruit of delusion, for you have trusted in your own way, in the multitude of your mighty men. Tumult will rise among your people. All your strongholds will be demolished, and Shalman destroyed. Beth Arbel in the day of battle, when a mother was dashed in pieces with her children, just so has Bethel done to you. Because of your great wickedness at dawn, the king of Israel will be utterly cut off.